Okay, this is a night that we put on for Colonial, actually. So for those of you who don't know Hudson, we started back in 1992 and we've been providing advice for over 30 years now. We've got about 3,000 clients around Australia. We've got a lot of third generation families coming through Hudson now. So the grandparents, the parents and the kids now are starting to come through Hudson. So Hudson has a really long history. We've worked with Colonial for 25 years. Part of tonight was a request from Colonial to put on a night because Colonial no longer have advisors. So they're looking for boutique companies like ours to put on nights about what advice looks like for clients that don't have advisors. So that's one of the reasons for tonight. We don't just use Colonial, we use Hub24 as our platform as well. So we've got an advisor-driven platform that we use as well. We specialise in property, shares, financing, self-managed super funds. We have wholesale investing. There's pretty much nothing that we don't do. We've got some plans here tonight just to show you what planning looks like. Planning can be something that you do without product advice. It can just be looking at, do you have enough in net assets to give you passive income at the moment to cover expenses? What does buying another property look like? A plan can show you all sorts of different things, not just product. So there's lots of reasons and lots of things that advisors do. I won't talk too long tonight about what Hudson does because it's probably just more about Mel and Aaron getting up tonight and just showing you what advice looks like. But if there's any questions, Mel and Aaron will be around tonight to answer them. And we hope you enjoy the presentation. Over to Mel.
Thank you, Anita. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking some time out of your evening to join us for this information session. Our goal tonight is hopefully that you will all walk away with a key takeout that will either resonate with you or will help you start to think a little bit more about your financial journey. So without further ado, disclaimer, I am not a public speaker. I am so much better with one-on-one. So I will apologise. I'm going to read some notes and we'll go from there. Our general advice warning: any opinions expressed or implied with this information evening does not constitute financial advice. All our opinions are expressed or implied are general in nature and does not consider your objectives, financial situation or needs. So we do strongly encourage you that if you want to apply some of the concepts that we've raised or discussed tonight, that you do seek professional advice, preferably ourselves. So the things that we're going to talk about tonight is 1, we're going to discuss the value of what a financial advisor can bring along your financial journey. 2, provide an outline of the financial advice process. And then 3, we're going to work through a couple of case studies that my colleague Aaron will take you through to demonstrate what value we can bring to your situation. Who has ever had a question or wanted to know something about something? So what do? We tend to go to Google. And then once we get into Google, we've lost a few hours and then we have more questions. So then we go looking for some more answers. So in the end, we start to feel like this guy. Let's call him Boris. He's actually suffering from information overload. He started looking for some tax strategies. As a financial advisor, our primary goal is to really help you to feel like this lady. She's looking pretty relaxed. She's confident. She has peace of mind. An important value add that an advisor can bring to you is that you know that someone in the background has your back through times of uncertainty or even good times, but we're there. You may ask the question, well, when should I seek advice? our answer to you is whenever you are feeling times of uncertainty, or when you just want to check in with someone to make sure that you are on the right track. This is generally the 3 stages of advice that we tend to go through. The grey line can be seen as our financial journey as we move through the stages of accumulation, preservation, and distribution. As you can see, there are different events that occur all through these phases, and these could be points when a financial advisor can actually bring some value to you. So how do we measure the value of advice? It's different for each of us. However, someone's come up with a formula. Russell Investments are a large global investment group based in the US, Seattle. They manage over $288 billion US, and they've been around since 1936. They've actually undertaken a large amount of research or studies over this time period, and they've talked to a lot of clients who have advisors to try and identify, well, what is the value that we bring? They've come up with this simple formula. A plus B plus C plus T equals the value of an advisor. We're going to explore each one of these letters. First of all, A. It's all about having the appropriate asset allocation. Research has indicated that portfolio asset allocation drives over 85% of investment outcomes for investors. An investing return is a combination of diversification, asset allocation, and risk management, managing volatility along your journey. So in periods of steadily rising markets, it can be easy to underestimate the value of a professionally managed portfolio. Let's have a look at an analogy of markets. A rising tide lifts all boats, but then a large wave or a cyclone can knock that boat off the course. And then it could take some time to get back on course. So what drives this? Can be fear or irrational behaviour. So this brings us to the letter of B, behavioural coaching. A major component of an advisor's role is to educate, listen, and act as your sounding board and cheer you on when you reach your goals, or hold your hand when things become a little bit uncertain or when fear kicks in. The large part of our day-to-day is to filter through all the information that you may see, hear, or read about, and then apply that specifically to your situation. We have the knowledge, the skill set, and the expertise to interpret the information and apply it to your individual situation. We hopefully can help circumvent some costly mistakes. This can be the actual difference between acting on fear or acting on knowledge. None of us here are irrational, are we? We didn't buy extra toilet paper through COVID. Let's have a look at these 3 investors. Let's call them Mr. Blue, Mr. Orange, and Mr. Grey. They all entered the market at the same time in Q1 2020. An event occurred on the 31st of March 2020. Let's call this COVID. Mr. Blue, he's an advised client. He stayed the course and travelled all the way through to June 22. Mr. Orange, a DIY, got a little bit scared. So he exited in March 2020. And then as he saw the tide start to rise again, he re-entered in July 2020. Mr. C needed to feel a little bit more confident. So he wanted to see the markets or the tides continually rising. And then when he felt confident, he dropped back in 2021. So out of these 3 investors, Who do you think was better off?
Mr. Blue.
Mr. Blue, or in this case, Miss Blue. This brings us now to C of the formula. C is all about the customised experience. We are all different, and we are all at different stages in our financial journey right now. Just looking at this particular chart can be information overload or a bit confusing. But this is what we call life events or preferences. There are so many inputs that need to be considered to build a tailored or customised experience for each of you individually and to navigate through the different stages of life. For example, a client may come to us and they say that their goal is income. Then we need to look at their circumstances. They could be single, working, and young. And then we need to consider their preferences. They may be looking for value-based investing, or they're very return-driven. So then we need to take all of these inputs and then look at the considerations or the circumstances that we're in right now. In the last couple of years, the inputs might have been rising inflation or rising interest rates. There are so many inputs that we need to consider to build your tailored plan. So an advisor can do this and help you stop from feeling like Boris. He's confused. The last letter of the equation is T. Tax planning and being savvy. Through all the different stages of your advice journey, the accumulation, the preservation, and the distribution, is tax planning is required. This could be simply as choosing the right investment option that provides tax-effective income. Could be a super strategy, salary sacrifice, personal concessional, even just simply structuring your insurance premiums to provide some tax effectiveness to you. And estate planning strategies around super. Who knew that when you pass your super benefit to your adult children, there potentially could be tax again? We do. The simple formula of A plus B plus C plus T equals the value that a financial advisor can have on your individual personal circumstances. The outcome of value can be measured in several different ways, whether it is providing you some tax savings, it's providing you with peace of mind, or just providing you with the returns that you are looking for. All of these components present value on your financial journey and help you feel that someone has your back, feeling relaxed and comfortable and going off on living your life the way that you want. So if you were to engage an advisor, what would the process look like? You may not see this chart very clearly, but I wanted to focus on the first one, which is so very important. It's understanding you, understanding your goals, your objectives, the inputs, the circumstances, and where you are on your financial journey. The others will then fall into place where we can analyse, strategise, tailor a plan for you, and put that plan into action. And the most important part is continually to reviewing it. Lift the lid, look at it, make sure that you are on track. Making you feel that you know that someone is always there that's got your back. I will now hand over to Aaron, who definitely will take you through a couple of case studies to actually demonstrate the value that an advisor can bring to you.
All right, thanks for that, Mel. So what we're going to go through now is a couple of real life case studies with some clients I've been working with over the last couple of months actually. So first case study I've got for you is Mr. X. So Mr. X, age 55, no spouse or children. The primary reason he came to me for financial advice was to maximise his financial situation. Historically, he actually won lotto, this particular individual, so he was able to pay off his home and put himself in a reasonable position, but he wanted to maximise his asset base. So Mr. X, as you can see there, employment income, $90,000 per annum plus superannuation contributions. He gets a little bit of interest in dividends from his savings and investments, and his total income is $100,000. Assets, liabilities. So as you can see, he owns his own home, no debt. He's got $80,000 in savings, $260,000 in an investment platform, and $340,000 in super. So this particular client, Mr. X, he's actively working with myself to manage his superannuation and personal investments and his overall financial strategy. So that's his summary snapshot there. So one of the strategies I put in place for him before 30 June 2024 was make a personal contribution into superannuation and then submit a notice of intent to claim a deduction for the personal super contributions made. Now, how many of you in this room would be familiar with carry forward concessional contributions? Yep. So if you're not aware of what carry forward concessional contributions are, I'll read this out because it's quite valuable. If you have unused concessional caps from previous financial years, you may be able to carry them forward to increase your contributions caps in later years. You're eligible to do this if you have both a total super balance of less than $500,000 as at 30th of June of the previous financial year. So that's a really important note to make. And the second point, unused concessional contributions caps from up to 5 previous financial years. And I've included a link there from the ATO if you want to know a little bit more about it. All right. So with this, carry forward concessional, if you're unaware of the previous 5 years concessional caps, you'll see in the 2019 and 2020 and 2021 financial year, you're eligible to put in $25,000 each financial year of pre-tax contributions. In the 2022 and 23 financial years, $27,500. So essentially all of us in this room have had the ability to put in $130,000 total over them 5 financial years. Now, if we include the 2024 financial year as well, the maximum we've been eligible to carry forward this financial year would be $157,500. So in Mr. X's particular case, I've been working with him to understand what concessional contributions he has made the 5 previous financial years and include in this financial year. So I've went through his MyGov information and his superannuation statements, and we forecasted what he's eligible, or what he will put in for 2024 based on his pay run. So as you'll see, if you tally them 5 numbers up there, he's put in $97,000 over that 5-year period, including this financial year. So the maximum personal contributions that Mr. X has been eligible to make is $157,500. Now that's $130,000 carry forward, which was on the previous slide, and then $27,500 this financial year. Now, just before I talk through that as well, would anyone know what the concessional cap is next financial year, based on the recent budget announcements and the changes?
30,000.
30,000, correct. Someone's got it. All right, so Mr. X, unused concessional contributions, simply it's $157,500, which is what he's been eligible to put in, less the $97,000 he's already put in. So he's eligible to carry forward $60,500. All right. So the recommendation I made to him was to maximise his caps for this particular financial year. and he agreed with the recommendation to put in 60,500. Now, based on his previous position that we went through before, if you recall, he had 80,000 in savings and 260,000 in an investment. So he uses his savings, makes the contribution with my help, of course, prior to 30 June, and we submit a notice of intent to claim a tax deduction once the contribution is made. So what's the overall outcome? Now, this could apply to many people in this room actually, and they're just unaware of what they've got available to carry forward. Mr. X earned he earned 100,000 with forecast for this financial year. So as he's earned between 45,000 to 120,000, Mr. X will pay 34.5 cents tax in the dollar for each dollar earned over 45 grand. So how does this work? The 60,500 he puts in, we be-pay it into super, just like you would pay anyone if you're paying a friend or you're transferring money to someone. Once the 60,500 contribution is into super, we submit the notice of intent. The superannuation fund will charge 15% tax, which is the 9075. Now, as a result of that, what we're able to do is Mr. X is able to reduce his taxable income from 100,000 to 39,500. So the tax he'll actually save in his personal name is 20,730. So where that number comes from, as you'll see, the tax payable on 100,000 here is 24,967, less the tax payable on 39,000, which would be 4,237. So what's the net outcome? Total tax saved by working with myself and devising a strategy based on his financial position is circa $12,000. So that's the income tax that he saves, less the contributions tax that he pays in a superannuation. Now, it's important to note the tax saving will apply, obviously, when he lodges his 2024 income tax return. So that's one example of probably about 100 I've got with clients that we will go through their financial position, we will analyse their superannuation contributions history and devise a strategy where we're not only able to grow his superannuation balance, but we can also save him a mozza in tax. So in this example, 12 grand. Pretty handy outcome. All right, so that's case study 1. Now, case study 2, another client of mine, we'll call him Mr. Y. Now, he's age 61, has a spouse, grown-up children. His primary objective for coming to see me is to work with him as he approaches retirement, with a main goal to pay off his debt. Now, the client's not planning to retire for another 5 years. So in this example, his income, 200,000 per annum plus superannuation contributions. This particular individual doesn't have any investments, a little bit in savings, and still quite a sizable mortgage of 340,000 owing that he wants to pay off as soon as possible. As a result of earning really good income over his former life, previous years, he's built up 700,000 in superannuation. So Mr. Y, he's engaged Hudson to manage his super and overall financial strategy as he approaches retirement. Now, a key point with this one, because this particular individual has over 500,000 in super, he can't utilise the carry forward. So when we were discussing with him, his primary goal to pay off debt, he wanted to know how to do that. He wasn't aware that he was able to commence a transition retirement income stream to start drawing an income from his super to assist him to pay off debt. So the recommendations we made for him was, 1, to maximise his concessional contributions cap each year until retirement, which, as the gentleman pointed out over there, will be 30,000 effective next financial year. Recommendation 2, convert superannuation into a transition to retirement income stream on 1st July 2024 and draw 10% of the balance per annum to help pay down his home loan. Now remember, this individual has 700,000 in super, so it'd be looking to draw 70,000 per year. And recommendation 3, growth to defensive mix will be 75% growth versus 25% defensive assets as per discussions with Mr. Y. Now, before I go into the strategy, if I was to ask a member in the crowd if they knew what their growth to defensive allocation would be, put your hand up if you wouldn't know that. So there's a few in a room. So asset allocation, as Mel pointed out, is ultra critical, especially if you're going to incorporate, planning in your financial strategy, and especially as you get closer towards retirement as well, to ensure that you're comfortable with the risk that you're taking. Now, transition retirement pensions, who in the room would be familiar with them or would know how they work? Not many? All right. So when a member, any one of us in the crowd, has met preservation age, they can commence a TTR, as we like to call it. Now, effective 30th of June 2024, the preservation age for every Australian is age 60. So preservation meaning when you can get access to your superannuation. Now, Mr. Y, being 61, has met his preservation age. So conditions of a TTR pension, you have to draw a minimum of 4% of the pension payment balance. Well, minimum pension payment must be 4%, so 4% of 700,000. Maximum pension payment, 10% of the balance, and the account balance will be based on the balance of the 1st of July. So let's say the client's super balance due to market returns go up to 800,000 or 750, whatever the figure may be. The pension payment's still assessed as of the balance of the 1st of July. So that's the criteria. Now, the pension payment can be paid fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, half-yearly or yearly, whatever's going to work best for your situation. And it may also be aligned to supplement income that you're earning. Now, pension withdrawals are tax-free. However, the investment earnings are still taxed at 15%. So that's quite important to know, because once you have met your preservation age or turned 60, you can start a transition to retirement pension. Withdrawals are tax-free. However, to benefit from tax-free investment earnings, you have to either be fully retired, which would be hitting your preservation age and ceasing work, ceasing a form of employment or a job after the age of 60, or turning 65. So when this client is ready to retire, what we'd be looking to do for him is convert him out of a transition or retirement pension to a full pension, so he can get the tax-free earnings on his investments, which is the 700 grand. And I've, again, just included a link to some of that information if you want to know more. All right, so the recommendation, Mr. Y agrees with my recommendation to maximise his concessional cap and commences a 10% transition to retirement income stream. Mr. Y elects for the pension payments to be paid monthly, so the super contributions and investment returns help supplement his pension drawdowns. Hudson established an investment and strategy to invest in line with his 75%, 25% asset allocation, which is managed by our internal investment committee. All right, so the overall outcome for Mr. Y is twofold. By maximising his concessional contributions annually, Mr. Y will reduce tax. And what we've also done is attempted to formulate a strategy that's going to help him pay down his home loan in 5 years' time for when he plans to retire. So remember, this client had a $340,000 mortgage. He wanted to retire in 5 years. It was a big goal of his to be debt-free in retirement. So by commencing the transition to retirement income stream, he's able to withdraw 10% of his superannuation on a monthly basis, which he's going to put into his home loan, all while still working and trying to grow his superannuation. But overall, the objective is to get him to be debt-free. All right. that's actually the end of the presentation. Before I hand it back to Juanita, does anyone in the crowd actually have any questions or want to pick our brain on anything?
Yeah, Aaron, can you explain the idea of when and where you're getting taxed on investments inside your super? So essentially, you're not paying tax on that once you reach the pension age.
Correct.
And can you explain that?
Yeah. All right. So we'll use a hypothetical. Let's say you earn 100 grand a year. It could be 200 grand a year, 300 grand a year, you name it. The marginal tax rate in your personal name, if you earn more than, let's say, 20 grand, is 19.5 cents in the dollar. Now, within super, you're taxed internally at 15%. Now, you may not know this, but any money you put in that's pre-tax or any investment earnings you generate, if you're an accumulator, any earnings that you make will get taxed internally by your super funds. So let's just say your fund has generated a 10% return. They will take the tax off and then they will report your net return for that year or the 3-year or 5-year period. So when you're in TTR phase, you still will pay that tax, but the reason why as you get older, it's, it is 9 times out of 10, it is beneficial to put money into super because you're going to be taxed at a lower marginal rate. And then once you eventually retire, we convert your superannuation to an account-based pension where, as it stands right now, all earnings and withdrawals are tax-free. So let's say you've got $1 million in super, you earn 10% on that superannuation. That's 100 grand, you won't pay a cent in tax. If you earn 100 grand in your personal name, you'll pay 25 grand tax. So you can see year on year, once you're retired, the more money that you've got in the superannuation environment, the less tax you're going to pay once we get to pension phase. And even before then too. Because superannuation, if you're not aware, is one of the lowest tax rates of any trust structure you can hold in Australia. Lower than company tax. As I mentioned, if you earn more than 20 grand a year, as a round figure, you're going to be paying more money in tax there too. Any other questions? All right, thank you.